I am Precious Mzea Sakalenji. Good afternoon and welcome to Camnet TV Midday News. The headlines. PF claims most Zambians feel shortchanged in the UPND one-year rule. Timber producers complain over government's stance on exports. Join me with the details after this commercial.
The Zambia Statistics Agency will this year conduct the 2021 census across the country. The census aims to count people in households, rural and urban, hospitals, military, all, from migrants, refugees and street children, homeless people, the young and the old people, as well as persons with disabilities. Everyone counts. This message is brought to you by the Zambia Statistics Agency.
In other media news in detail, the Timber Producers Association of Zambia is disappointed at government's stance towards timber product exports countrywide. In an interview with Camnet TV, Association President Charles Masanga has cited Sino-Africa Company Limited, one of its members, as a company that has unfairly been treated for attempting to export timber products despite meeting the requirements.
Trucks loaded with semi-finished mukula belonging to Sino-African Timber was destined for China from Mansa in Northern Province. A journey that was only to take 2 days to reach the Nakonde border has now taken over 40 days after they were impounded by police officers at Luwingu police station in Northern Province, where they were made to stay for more than 30 days without being told the reason why the trucks were impounded. According to the company, the trucks had all the import permits cleared by the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment, the Zambia Forestry Department, the Zambia Agriculture Research Institute, and others. And Timber Producers Association of Zambia has expressed disappointment in the manner in which authorities in the country are treating exporters of timber products who they say have been refusing to bribe them.
In this situation, we can learn a lot because as Timber Producers of Zambia, we told our members Sino-Africa not to give corruption to any civil servants so that we clean the sector and we observe what happens. And Sino-Africa never corrupted anybody from Mansa. Hence, the delay of our exports to 50 days. And this has caused the company to spend more than $50,000 going to over 1 million kwacha in terms of demurrages.
After having spent more than 30 days at Luwingu police station, these trucks were later released but have also been delayed by customs officers at Nakonde border post, which has now resulted in the company losing more than 50,000 United States dollars in revenue. Mr. Masange now wants the president and other relevant authorities to investigate why officials in the country are blocking timber and mukula traders.
Of course, they started by 6 containers which were supposed to leave. 2 containers after leaving, one was impounded in Mbala, according to the report we received by an army officer. The other truck was impounded in Luwingu by the police. If you look at these people who are impounding the trucks, they are not forest officers. They are nowhere in Statute number 50 of the Forest Act. Why should we allow civil servants who are not there to execute the act be interfering in our business? I'm appealing to the government, I'm appealing to the president, I'm appealing to the secretary to cabinet and the commissioner, the chairman, and corruption to investigate this matter so that we prevent corruption in the civil service.
For now, the waiting continues for these truck drivers who have been away from their families for over 40 days. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The opposition Patriotic Front has described the United Party for National Development's administration's 1 year in office as an economic disaster. PF Media Director Antonio Mwanza has cited high prices of commodities, which he says have subsequently pushed the cost of living beyond the reach of many vulnerable citizens. Mr. Mwanza says most Zambians, especially young people, feel shortchanged on account of lack of jobs and economic hardship being experienced.
1 year in office, the governing United Party for National Development, UPND, has been holding a series of activities to brag about its achievements in office. Most UPND officials have been pointing out the increased Constituency Development Fund CDF allocation from 1.6 to 25.7 million kwacha, the recruitment of over 30,000 teachers and 11,000 health personnel, the rule of law, as well as combating cadreism.
By dialogue, by reconciling, by sitting down and solve this problem. I think so far we have done well as a party.
TV stations, social media platform, the feedback is overwhelming. The response from the public is overwhelming. And it gives us morale and hope and also encouragement that our government is on the right course.
Look at our uncle Chishimba Kambwili. Hanis has been picked as a nurse. That is the type of government the people of Zambia wanted. And we all know that President Hakainde wants to unite this country. And our friends from the opposition, they are still saying no, he's lying.
While the UPND is pointing, the Opposition Patriotic Front is discrediting, and it has described the UPND's 1 year in office as an economic disaster. PF Media Director Antonio Mwanza has told Camnet TV News that most Zambians feel shortchanged owing to the prevailing high cost of living, which he says the UPND promised to address upon being ushered into office.
Life in general has become extremely expensive and difficult for the people of Zambia. They are spending more on everything, be it food, be it transport, be it hospital bills, be it anything, whether it's fertilizer, all the prices of these things have gone up. To the young people, they feel shortchanged. They had a lot of hope that this government will create business opportunities for them. They were told, go to your constituencies and get the CDF. The young people are not seeing that CDF. They have made cooperatives, they can't access the CDF. You saw the thousands of young people that were queuing up for the jobs for census. Now they are protesting that even people that did not sit for those exams are the ones that have been given jobs. That people who were at home, who did not even come for interviews, are the ones that have been given jobs. So there are no jobs for the young people. There are no business opportunities for the young people. And they really feel shortchanged.
And Mr. Mwanza has implored the UPND to stop praising itself, but use the first anniversary on the wheels of power to reflect on some failed promises.
Everybody feels shortchanged. They believe that today they will be buying minimum at 50 kwacha. They believe today they will be having fertilizer for 250 kwacha. They believe today they will have fuel for 12 kwacha. There is no such thing. Life has become more difficult, and our hope and prayer to the UPND government is that they will use this time to reflect on their failed promises and to see how best they can help the Zambian people going forward. They shouldn't use this moment to praise themselves, to brag. No, they should use this moment to look at the promises they made and have a genuine comparison of how they have fared, promise by promise, what they promised and what they have delivered. And then they can reflect and change.
They say democracy is about opinions and freedom of expression. In the Zambian context, this means the views of the 1.8 equivalently matter as those of a 2.8 in order to achieve good governance. Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Former Konkola Copper Mines Provisional Liquidator Milingo Lungu has submitted before the Constitutional Court documents for it to determine whether the move by the Director of Public Prosecution to grant him immunity was within the Constitution. This is in a matter where Mr. Milingo Lungu has petitioned the state and its agent in the Constitutional Court over his rearrest on allegations that he bought a house using illegal gains when they entered into a pact to exempt him from prosecution after he rendered the mining firm's account record and relinquished his position.
The debate on whether he was granted immunity by the state seemed not to be ending anytime soon, as the former Konkola Copper Mines provisional liquidator Milingo Lungu, in his latest submissions before the Constitutional Court, argues that the Director of Public Prosecution, Lillian Sioni, exercised her powers not to initiate criminal proceedings against him in relation to acts and/or omissions arising from carrying out of his functions as provisional liquidator. Mr. Lungu, who has petitioned government and its agent before the Constitutional Court over his rearrest on allegation that he bought a house using illegal gains when they entered into an agreement to exempt him from prosecution after he rendered the mining firm's account records and relinquished his position, has argued that only the court has the power or authority to determine whether the DPP's action is within the Constitution. According to the affidavit in opposition of summons for an order to dismiss the state's cross-petition on determination of preliminary question of laws, Mr. Lungu states that the Attorney General cannot lodge a cross-petition as there is no relief that it can legally seek against him, as the promise of not to prosecute him was exercised by the DPP, who is not part of the current civil proceedings before the Constitutional Court. In this case, Mr. Milingo Lungu claimed to have negotiated for his freedom with President Hakainde Hichilema's principal private secretary, legal advisor, the Attorney General, Solicitor General, the Administrator General, and the Director of Public Prosecution said his rearrest had no legal effect owing to the discontinuance of his criminal proceedings by the latter, arguing that the Drug Enforcement Commission's decision to rearrest him for possessing a property suspected to be proceeds of crime was in breach of the agreement he signed with the state's agent, as it was unreasonable and an abuse of criminal proceedings to seize his property, arrest and charge and prosecute him for acts that KCM had not complained of. While the state wants the court to declare illegal the purported immunity dated 22nd March 2022 granted to Mr. Milingo Lungu, as it is against public interest and an abuse of court process. We wait to see how this case unfolds. Meanwhile, the criminal proceedings that Mr. Lungu was currently facing before the Lusaka's Magistrate Court currently on stay until the Constitutional Court determines on this matter. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
In other news, the Parliamentary Committee on Legal Affairs, Rights and Governance has called for law reforms which will deter offenders from committing crimes if the fight against corruption in the country is to be won. In an interview, Committee Chairperson Clemens Andeleki says the current sentence for the vice of corruption, ranging from as low as 2 years, are not a deterrent for criminally minded people who would opt to be imprisoned and make away with the colossal sums of money.
Has been said when it comes to the fight against corruption in the country, as various stakeholders have been giving their views on how this vice can be curbed. While the focus has been on ensuring that there is no sacred cow in the fight, the Parliamentary Committee on Legal Affairs, Rights and Governance feel that criminals are not deterred from practicing the vice, as the punishment ranges from as low as 1 year. In an interview, Committee Chairperson Clement Andeleki, who's also Katombora Constituency Member of Parliament, says the status quo shows the need for urgent legal reforms.
An offender who is criminally minded would rather steal public funds and serve a 1-year sentence or a 2-year sentence. Unless the laws are reconciled, the Penal Code and the Anti-Corruption Commission Act must be synchronized, reconciled, and corruption must be made a very serious capital offense, so that persons who are entrusted to handle public funds must be restrained, and those who are willing or wishing to commit corruption must forever be deterred. As Member of Parliament for Katombora Constituency, on behalf of my people and on behalf of the UPND government, we feel that there is need for serious law reforms in the area of the fight against corruption. Because this is the only way we can save public funds. We can talk, work, but if monies are being stolen,
we will be working in vain.
Meanwhile, commenting on the performance of the current administration, the lawmaker says the United Party for National Development UPND administration is positioned to fully implement its manifesto by 2026.
And want to assure the people of Zambia that the New Dawn government will work, will look after their treasury, will ensure the best interest of the people is taken care. By 2030 or before, we must have attained the middle income status. We must start manufacturing. We have a challenge. All along, we are a consuming country under the previous government. We had to buy even a chitenge. We could not manufacture anything in this country. This is not good for development. Any country worth its salt like Zambia must be able to manufacture and export.
He adds that current economic reforms will help Zambia arrive towards its 2030 goal of becoming a prosperous middle-income country. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
We've come to the end of the news, but before we go, here are the headlines once again. PF claims most Zambians feel shortchanged in the UPND one-year rule. Timber producers complain over government stance on exports. Thank you for watching. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Good afternoon.